Hi there, Chris.
Hello.
No, long time no see.
In 1 year?
1 year,
That's
1 year,
long time.
at least more than 1 year. Last Essen was more than 1 year
days
ago. So last interview was great, and now we go with the preview of a game called Living Planet.
Exactly.
So it will be on Kickstarter in November.
Yeah,
And
I think so.
Definitely want to show me, give me the overview. What's the game about? What was the inspiration? Why did you want to create this?
Why did I want to?
Create.
Okay, so the idea this time, I don't know. I don't even know where I got it from, but I know science fiction. I read a lot of comic books. I guess, it came from the story. I had the idea, there's going to be a big background story at the beginning of the game. And what's funny is that you're going to have only like 80% of the background story at the beginning of the game. And then at the end of the rules, beginning of the rules, sorry. At the end of the rules, you're going to have the end, the 20%. Because the first background of the game brings you to, oh, what's happening now? Now you're going to play what's happening in the story. And then the end, you know the scoring and all that. And after that, it tells you what will happen after, when you leave the planet or whatever.
Okay.
And the whole story when I wrote this story, I wrote the story after, but I had this whole story in mind before doing the game. You understand what I mean? This thing about the living planet and all that. So it goes further than just the mechanics and the thing we have in the game. The mechanics sticks to the theme, but in the storyline, when you should really read the beginning, not read the end, play the game once, and then read the end and be like, oh shit, that's what happens after. No way. I was thinking this and that, and but things, it's like the movie Seven, or the movie where Bruce Willis, is dead, but no, he doesn't know it. You know what I mean? The Fifth Element, or not Fifth Element. Anyway, you know what I mean? There's movies where you have a twist at the end and you're like, oh shit, no. So the story generated the game first. Then in the game I wanted to have exploration. The people come and they colonize this planet. So the mechanic of exploration, what I had in Archipelago was what I liked the best, because I had this modularity and I liked the exploring system. So there was no way I was going to invent something better than something I already like a lot. And if I have not better ideas, so that's what you have. That's where the similarity is, but it stops here.
So you say you wanted something better. Like, I adore Archipelago. I adore exploration in Archipelago. It's one of my favorite parts. It's just the exploration, expanding, trying the resources. It reminded me a little bit of Archipelago. But you say you want to make it better.
Here it's more difficult. Yeah, I could make it a little better, because here I have to explain you the whole mechanics a little bit, so you will understand better.
Yeah.
But here, instead of randomly take only one and then judging if you take the other one or not, here you're going to take as many tiles as your dice on this thing you have up there. Voila. As your color dice indicates. And this color of the dice, you decided with a deck you have, with all the values of the dice. Each player starts with a deck of 6 cards. Each card is, if I'm yellow, I'm going to have the 1 to the 6.
Yeah.
And we both all play this card face down at the beginning of the turn, reveal it.
Okay.
That will force the value of the dice on this plate. And the leader player, the player who has this in front of him, is the governor of the planet for this year, for example.
Okay.
He's going to decide in which order those dice that each player decided to play. He's going to decide the order in which we're going to play. So let's say I'm the leader, and it's like what we have here. I played the 4, he played the 5, he played the 1, I think, I don't see from here. And here, of 3 here, whatever. I have the 3, I have the 4, I played the 4 here. And let's say I don't see what other cards, he played the 1. Then if I'm the leader, I'm going to decide, okay, I want to play first, or no, because of this, that. There's a reason why the order is very important. Once the leader has decided the order, we're going to go down the track. At the very beginning of the game, there's no hexagons at all. We only land here where you have the colony. There's only like one safe place. The reason why it's called Living Planet is because we play in the universe of science fiction where we could colonize planet and not terraform, but at least get resources from those planets. And we play a team of scientists. A meeple represents maybe 1 or 2 or 3 scientists, not more. Everything on the planet is automatized, okay, with robots and computers. You start only with the colony because the planet has some cataclysm on it. Sometimes, here and there. Not so many, but they're quite devastating. Cyclones, tempests, you know, geysers of bad acid, and earthquake, very bad earthquake. Some of the buildings we construct are protected from that, but we need some special resource to build those buildings. Some others are not protected from that. Okay. It's not the building will fall down first. With the earthquake and all that, first what you lose is the automation of the building, which is represented by this cylinder you have on the building. When this is off, that means that the building is not functioning anymore. If there's not even a color on it, that means that nobody's here maintaining this building. So any player who comes first on that can try to reactivate to his color this building later on. So we can even steal building from other players. The other thing is that we start here because there's no cataclysm. But in the order of the things we do, that's what happens. This will go down first and activate the production for a value of 3. But this is not only for the blue player. This is for all the players who have buildings or industries that extract resources when the 3 comes up. Any 3.
Okay.
So if, for example, I build here something that makes me generate electricity when there's a 3 coming out, I'm going to have an electricity that I take behind my screen.
Okay.
And everybody who has a 3 is going to take something. So if you put your resource building on all the numbers existing, you are sure for every step of every player that you're going to get a resource. In the most ideal way, you could get 4 resources every turn. Okay? Once you took the production, everybody took production for that, blue player is going to do his actions. You have 2 actions you can do, and they are all listed on your screen. But for most of them, the strength, I would say, or the power of the action you're going to do is based on the value of your dice when you're on the action here. Only yours, and only for you.
Yeah.
So here I'm blue, at 3, I could explore. If I explore with 3, and that's why it makes a big difference with Archipelago, I'm going to take the 3 next hexagons.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm choosing from the 3. And on top of that, there's only 2 types of lands. The desert and the mountain. There's no sea. So you have less thing to match. It's more difficult to miss.
Yeah.
If I have a 6, if I explore when I have a 6, I'm going to take 6 tiles. It's impossible to miss, almost. Except if everybody is regrouped. Because the same phenomenon as Archipelago, the more you spread, the more easier you explore.
Yes.
Of course, and that's normal. That goes with the thing.
Of course.
Movement. You can move up to 3 guys, 3 points. Because I have a 3. Construction. This is not connected to my dice, has nothing to do with it. I pay the cost of the building, which is usually 5 mega credits, 5 of money. And sometimes to get a protection for this building, I need to spend a resource like the vibranium, or I don't know how we're going to call it, that absorbs the vibration and that protects you, for example, from earthquakes. Okay? 3 of the 5 material you have here protects you from each 3 of the different cataclysms you can receive. Commerce. There's a value track here. It's like the stock market with the value of each type of resource. When you have many resources behind your screen, you can use that and try to sell them to the value of the market here.
Okay.
When you sell them, you're going to draw a certain number of cards with the stock market on it. And those cards tells you which type of resource, electricity, metal, the mushrooms, which I didn't talk about, but it's very important in the theme. You have to read the story for that.
Yeah, of course.
And the vibranium and the petroleum is what we found on this planet. 3 of the resources, we have them on Earth. The 2 other ones are new ones. The mycelium and the mycelium and the vibranium are new. Out of all the cards you took, so the bigger the number, the more cards you're going to get. You're going to choose 1 and put it on top and put that in the discard. And this is the one you're going to apply. So if I have a lot of electricity, I might choose this one because electricity, the price will go up 1. And sometimes it goes up 2 or up to 3.
Okay.
So then when I sell my electricity, so it's a double game. You can play on the stock market, or you can play really exploring and generating resource and trying to make victory points more on the buildings than on the money. Because at the end, the money, the buildings, and the cars only, the space truck, I would say, that you can do, are the only one that are worth victory points. Only this column behind the screen. What other actions you have? So There's also buildings that you can construct that are only made for guys with tie and suit. They are businessmen, marketing guys.
Yes.
Those are the ones that are protected, because those guys, you have to assure them that they're not coming in a danger zone where there's going to be a seism or whatever,
of course,
to kill them.
Yeah.
So when
VIP.
you have stock markets, exactly, when you have stock market buildings, then you draw more cards, and you can sell more resources and more different ones.
Okay.
So you can also build building that will help you here, not only produce things. You understand?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's really like a double game of exploration, risk-taking, because we didn't talk about the last thing, which is the cataclysm. How do they happen? On every tile, there's logos of cataclysm. Here they're very small. We have to mention that this board is totally a prototype, and everything will be redone, the icon, everything will be reviewed before the Kickstarter, probably.
Yes, everything
They're working on it. Voilà. This is just the first row.
Everything will be mostly, I think,
it's a prototype.
more colorful and more
I don't
accessible.
know, but it's a product. I'm not the publisher. I'm just a designer. But I know that they are still working on the board.
Yeah, they'll make it good.
That's it. So, because here, for example, one thing for sure, that the dice value here, they are too small. That's for sure. So they're going to be a lot bigger. So anyway, for example, here, the number 3 blue comes down on the cataclysm. So what happens is that every hexagon that has a 3 blue with a cataclysm icon is going to trigger. So we look at the blue, and that's when it's too small. Here it's a 2, here it's a 5, whatever. Let's say here it's a 3, you're going to have an earthquake in this area. Oh good, there's nobody, nothing happens. Let's say that this would trigger an earthquake here. Then green has 2 options. Either the automatism is destroyed, or his guy is wounded. If his guy is wounded, the automatism can still produce the resource.
Yeah.
Okay? But if there's a second earthquake, he's gonna have to decide to remove that or kill the guy.
Okay.
If he removes that, then next... Okay, and then when there's nobody, either somebody's gonna come take it, or if there's another cataclysm here, this is gonna go away. It's destroyed.
Okay.
So there's like, depending on what you have on the tile, you have many steps or life point, or you see whatever you want.
A bit similar to Archipelago, where you could, if somebody steps off the building, you can occupy the building.
When the building is empty, you can go on it. That's the same principle as an Archipelago.
I like that very much, because it's
easy.
Not, it's not
but here,
only yours.
In the Archipelago, there's almost no direct fighting, except if you have the expansion War and Peace. Here, there's no direct fighting also, but there's fighting through, because it's you who decided to put the 3 blue. And if there's many different points, it's you who decide to make it break here, or there, or both, or all of them. You have to trigger at least one.
Yes.
Of course, you're not going to trigger on yourself. What's funny is that when you're on a tile with many things to exploit and many triggering, if you are there, people come with you because they know you're not going to trigger on yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
That's funny also. So we go that for all the players. They do all the action and thing, and then we pass that to the other player. We select a new card, trigger the dice, vote again and again. And you play the normal game. I don't know what they're going to put in the rule, but the number of cycles you play makes the length of the game. The normal game suggests 12 turns. That means 2 cycles of cards.
Okay.
But there are some variants to go longer, or to play only with 4 cards and then get back the cards, so you can decide which one you don't want to play. Because each card, on top of fixing the number of your dice, has an effect that you apply, but you apply it only when you are the leader, when you have the board in front of you. So sometimes it's good to use the 4, but if you really want to use this effect, you have to use the 4 when it's your turn to be the leader.
Yes.
And some cards allows you to also get back a card that you already played. If you played it when you were the leader, then you're not going to have the same cycle turns as the other players. So basically that's it. I think I told you. I know, what's the other actions? No, there's just 2 other actions I didn't say. So it's exploration, movement, construction. You build the buildings. When you do construction, you can also build the cars and things. Subventions, you take X money. Like if I had 3, I take 3 gold from the bank. That's when you are broke. Or when you have a 6, having 6 money, you can think about it. But sometimes when you sell here, you do more. So, voilà. Redistribution, you have a token that is like a fate control, but you can fix another dice value, you can change it. So that's vicious, because when you're here, you can keep the 5, the 2, for example, because it triggers good production for you. And because for actions, you want to explore, and you need a 5. And on top of that, there's a 5 blue that's going to do big damage to one of your colleagues who's ahead of you in the points, you think. Then, by using this token you can get with this action, you can change here this to a 5. So now, not only you get to do an action with 5 value, but on top of that, you can trigger all the blue 5s on the map, for example.
Yeah.
Voilà.
So
there's like 6 different actions. 4 of them are done frequently. The 2 others are more special. And with that, you explore, you take risks, or not. You try to avoid the cataclysm when there's too many. It's a game where what I wanted is the players to be afraid from the planet.
Yes.
And not only, and mostly about the other players. In most of the German style board game, they calculate how many points you have. Here, if you do that, you forget about the planet, and she strikes you back in the face. You understand what I mean? You better look at really the cataclysm and where it's risky, where it's not, than counting how many gold he took, how many resources he has, and all that. Play on the market is one thing, but be aware that the planet, and the bigger it gets, the more dangerous it takes. The more you get resources, the more violent she gets. And that's the story that you read at the beginning. And at the end, you know what's happening really with this planet, what's going on, what's like behind the story.
Twist, voilà. So it's what I like to call, my term is immersive Euro, or I call it also the French school Euro game. That's what I like. I mean, I have tried different French games and Euro games, and they're more immersive. They tell you the story within this rather streamlined, and those Euro mechanics. Just it's very mechanical, yet it gives you more story than We won't talk about any specific games, but I'm not a fan of German Euros myself, so I'm biased towards the French school much more. So this one sounds like an archipelago in a kind of a wasteland, or the I don't know.
Science fiction. 20% archipelago.
If you have read the
20% economic. And 50% scared of a big mug monster with a living planet.
I know. Have you read Harry Harrison? And he's I don't remember the trilogy of. There was one. The first is
book.
He's on Dinalt.
There's book.
Yes.
Not comic book.
It's a book.
I've been disgusted of book when I was a kid at school. I never read book, as a matter of fact. I read 10 books in my life, maybe. They were what they made me read at school and what disgusted me from it. I read only comic books. That's why I told you at the beginning. I read a lot of comics, more science fiction around there. And not only I see the story, I dream it, but if I would be an artist, I would see how I would draw the comic book, page by page, image by image, to tell the story. I told them at the beginning that for this game, I would have loved to have like a 2-page, 4-page first comic book telling the story, and then 2 final pages at the end that tells you what's the last episode.
But it's kind of, it reminded me, but I don't read books myself that much as well, because I don't like to read very much. But those Harry Harrison books are also science fiction, and there's the first title, I don't remember, The Deadly Planet or something like that. It's exactly like this living planet. There are the planet, the people that are there, they are afraid of the planet because the planet strikes them all the time. The planet is against them. But they are taught to be very cruel, very bold. They're taught to be, survive.
Very close,
It's very cool book, and this game reminds me of this, and I adore the book.
Yeah, but here's more like it's more like there's a motto to it, kind of like a morale, une leçon de morale, moral lesson, that like on Earth, like the more you're digging the resource, the more you're going to kill the planet.
Okay,
there's the ecological way of like, hey, you found new resources. The mushrooms, I didn't tell you about the mushrooms. So there's steel, there's petroleum, they come for that. There's this vibranium, a metal that absorbs vibration, same as they have in the Marvel Universe. And vibranium, I think, is the name, so they're going to have to change the name. I'm sorry, but probably this is the Marvel influence.
All right.
We'll go back to it after. There's the electricity you generate with the winds, with the tempest, with a lot of Eolienne, you know, the wind thing that captures the wind. And do a lot of
windmill.
kite surf, so we look at that a lot. That maybe that's where it comes from a lot. That's why we have electricity and the tempest. And this is the mycelium, is the like huge mushrooms that grow on the place where they have the geysers with the acid. And those mushrooms, they are very good food. They discovered, they studied them and all. They found that they had all the nutriments in it, that you could live only with that. You will grow strong, you will have no disease, everything will be fine. And on top of that, it's a drug, but you know, like the funny or not hypnotic mushrooms or whatever. It's a drug that just puts you like a Prozac all the time, with no side effect, nothing bad. So all the settlers that they may come on this planet, that's in the story, huh? They make them come not only because they pay them to work here, but they pay them extra also, they feed them with the mushrooms. And this is paradise land. That's why they come. The mushrooms helps you make come, and you, every time there's 6 coming out on the track, if you have one mushroom and your settlement is empty, a new settler comes in. If you put out a mushroom, that's what you pay to him for making come. Like a big suitcase of mushrooms, like drugs, okay, admit. But with only good effects.
Okay, so it's...
There's also that. And then, when you guys are down, because not only that, it has a lot of properties to heal you and all that. You make them eat mushrooms to bring them back up.
Mushrooms, they heal.
So this is the mushroom thing, is the thing you sell the most here, goes up and down. And the thing that people go the most against. And it's where there's the geysers. So it's dangerous. There's always geysers where there's the mushrooms, because this is where they grow. But the end of the story tell you the whole truth about what are these mushrooms exactly. Why are they so pure? Well, they have only all the benefits, all the things, and nothing bad. And you understand at the end when you read those 20% at the end of the story, and why all the humans and everybody came here, and why everybody made this planet suffer to the end.
Okay.
That's all connected. So maybe, I don't know, I didn't read this book, and if they make a comic one, they tell me that, then maybe. But reading a book, I will have a hard time. But you'll tell me when you would have read the... It's not like a small, it's quite a long story. Maybe it will be 2 or 4 pages. I don't know how long it will be on the rule book page they make. It's like a small novella, you know, like a small story.
Novella,
But it's longer than the one in Dungeon Twisted. Not as long as the one on Earth Reborn. It was very long, this one. I wrote like a mini book, you know. But it's, I think I'm proud about mainly the end of the story. The beginning is nothing really psychological and all, but the end, about the mushroom and all that, you're going to be like, okay, and everything's going to change, like I was telling you for the movie. Now, it's not connected about the gameplay at the end.
Yeah,
but
of course.
That's why when you play and you read the end after, it's fun.
So anyway, this will be on Kickstarter in November.
Yeah.
Living Planet. Want to mention again that this is only a prototype.
Yeah.
Of course, with the help of Kickstarter backers, they will make components better, shinier, whatever. They will just have enough funds to make a great production quality of the game, and I'm certainly in. I mean, like, if you love Archipelago, this one sounds something that advances and gives me new.
It's easier.
heights.
It's easier than Archipelago, a lot easier.
Okay, easier on the rules as well.
I think. There's not this cooperative part also. There's no trader. There's no. Everything is visible, man, except what you have behind the screen.
All right, thanks, Chris.
You're welcome.
It was a pleasure.
Thanks.
And thanks for watching. We'll see you another time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
This channel is sponsored by Osprey Games. Check them out at ospreypublishing.com.